Hi YouTube. I collected some fossil wood from Bracklesham Bay and it started to disintegrate, so I'm just going to show you down here. If you have a look, this wood, this is a bit that's completely disintegrated. So wood from Bracklesham Bay, and sometimes other fossils as well, is preserved in iron pyrite. And iron pyrite, some of it can be stable and it can last forever and be completely fine. Some of it though starts to crumble like this. It gets this like iron pyrite rot kind of thing that happens where it just sort of oxidizes with the air or something, and the whole fossil can completely crumble and be wrecked. So in this drawer I had that little bit that's completely crumbled, and I've had this big bit as well. And this big bit, when I found it, I was really pleased with it because you could see all the like texture of the bark and everything, and the bit of wood was really nice. So it was in the drawer, and I started to see this kind of powdery kind of stuff happening to the top of it, and also sometimes you get these like little strands of they look like little sort of filaments coming off it, and it was getting that as well. So I thought I'm going to try and preserve it. So what I've done is I've got some of this PVA bond. So what you want to do, you can't just use normal PVA glue, because if you use normal PVA glue, after it's dried, if it gets wet, it sort of turns back into like a gluey mess again. So what you need to do is get some industrial PVA glue, preferably stuff that when it dries, it can't be reactivated if it then gets wet again afterwards. It dries and it stays dried. So so this is what I've done. You can see like the gaps in between the. Let me just poke this and show you that this stuff is really loose. Can you see? All these plates are all really loose where it started to rot. So what I've done is I've put the PVA glue on. It's all really wet at the moment, but what I'm trying to do is put the glue on really thick in between all of these plates of kind of wood, bark and things, and then I've already done the other side. I did the other side, let it dry, and I've turned it over, and now I'm doing this side, and it seems to be holding together, whereas there's no chance I could have picked it up before. Like I tried I went like this to try and pick up a bit, and the whole thing was like really loose, and if I'd have lifted it, everything would have just crumbled to pieces. So I'm coating this, and then I'll let this side dry as well, and that should make it pretty solid. But like I say, you've got to put it on thickly. You've got to really get it like in between all the biggest gaps. And yeah, this might dry and it might look a little unsightly. You know, it might not look great in the bits where the glue is at its thickest, because it'll go clearish, but it'll still be thick. But at least it will preserve the wood, which is what I want to do. I just don't want to have the whole thing just crumble like this into dust. At least it will still look like a bit of wood, and it will be preserved afterwards. The reason that I think this is going to work is because I've got some cannonballs, and one of them is, you know, proper, like the size of a bowling ball, massive cannonball. And I bought 3 cannonballs, I think, on eBay, yeah, and they had been dredged from the English Channel, and they were fine for like the first couple of weeks after I bought them, and then they started to kind of crack a little bit. You could see like a bit of rust maybe forming on it, and you just like the outside shell sort of seemed like it was going to start falling apart as well on the cannonballs. So I coated them with this PVA glue as well, and they're fine now. They're preserved and they'll last forever, and they're in my display cabinets. And yeah, nothing has gone bad with those since, and they've been okay. They've been stable for several years now, the cannonballs. So I kind of figure the same thing will happen with this. Once it's on, it will protect it, and it will also, you know, there'll be a layer stopping anything else from harming it, and it should be preserved, and I can keep it in this drawer, and it'll be fine forever, fingers crossed. I've got another small bit of wood here that I've been working on. I've still got to do this side, this side is coated, and that's enough to kind of keep this solid now, so that I can turn it over and do the other side. Obviously it does take a while to dry. You can speed it up with a hairdryer. If you had any, really expensive fossils that you don't want to damage, you might want to do a bit of research, and there's probably better stuff you can buy to preserve them. But for a bit that you found that you just don't want to disintegrate, I recommend just an industrial PVA glue. Okay, I just thought I'd show you my cannonballs in this cabinet. The light's not ideal, but so you can see this is my biggest cannonball, which is massive and weighs an absolute ton. Then I've got a smaller one here, and there's a medium-sized one in behind that you can't really see. There's also a couple of small ones that I found with a metal detector. I've done exactly the same thing with all of them. I just coated them with the PVA glue, and it's preserved them. You can see like sort of fine cracks and things on the outer surface of this, where it was all starting to crumble, and they would all have fallen apart completely, I think. You could see the sort of rusty colour as well. But these have been stable now for about 3 years, so I think they'll be fine. Okay, I've coated this second smaller piece. This one's still wet. What I'm going to do in a minute, I'm going to get a hairdryer on these. If you had a really important fossil that was maybe worth a lot of money, maybe don't use a hairdryer on it, maybe just let it all dry naturally. But I think this will hold together with a hairdryer, so I'm going to hairdryer it. Another thing you can do, you can use a syringe to actually squirt some of the glue into any like deep fissures and things in the fossil. So if you look in here, there's a big hole you can see just here, look, in the middle. And just to strengthen it, you could squirt some PVA glue down into that and let that dry as well. Then it would be really solid in the middle as well. And I'll probably find quite a few places that I could get a syringe down into just to squirt some extra glue into it. It's all going to strengthen it. Just be careful. Like, I tried going into Boots and places like that and asking for syringes. They gave me some really funny looks. So yeah, buy them on eBay. It's easier. It saves any embarrassment. Right, if you have a look at these, okay, these are some little nodules that I got from Lyme Regis. Again, they're Iron Pyrite nodules. Quite unusual little shapes though, quite bizarre. I really liked them, but I was worried that they were going to dissolve as well, or start to disintegrate. So what I've done is I've coated these, again this was years ago I did these, coated these with PVA glue, so it does make them slightly shiny, but I know they're not going to rot, which is the main thing. It's preserved the shape, and they should be fine forever. I'm not sure if you could probably get like a matte drying PVA or something like that. That might, if you don't like the shine, that might work okay. Personally on these, I think the shine actually adds to them. It makes all the curves and things of them show up a bit more. So anyway, what I'll do is I'll hair dry this, and then I'll do another quick bit of the video just to show you what this looks like when it's all finished. Okay, this is what it's starting to look like after about 4 or 5 minutes of hair drying. You can see all of the thinner glue has dried and is now, it's gone clear basically, and you can see the fossil through it. The thicker stuff, it's got like a sort of a surface skin on it now, the PVA glue, but I'll leave it, and it'll probably take a good day to dry fully, I think, right through to, because it's pretty thick glue, some of this, the stuff that goes right down into the fossil. It's going to take a little while to dry, so I will have to be a bit patient, but I hair dryer it first because that makes the whole thing more stable, and it means that if I need to lift this, it should all hold together. Okay, this shows some iron pyrite nodules that I found. This smaller one, you can see lots of kind of ridges on the top of it, and underneath you can really see the kind of iron pyrite colour. It's this kind of greenish grey kind of colour that you get used to seeing in these kinds of things when you're looking for it. And it also looks quite powdery. Yeah, I really like these nodules there. I mean, some people might find it a bit strange collecting nodules, but it's just one of my things. This one's, yeah, particularly kind of lumpy looking thing. Again, that with the greenish grey kind of coloration underneath, and that slight kind of powdery, dusty kind of look to it. You can see where it's browner. So these are actually limonite as opposed to iron pyrite, or mainly limonite. Iron pyrite, I think, changes to limonite. It's just a sort of process that it undergoes, probably over a lot of time. But I think on this particular one, on the side, I'll show you on this big side here, you can make out some sparkling, some little gold kind of flecks. Can you see on here? And that really shows the iron pyrite in it. It's just, you know, it's fool's gold, so you see those little specks. So yeah, I'll be coating these with the PVA glue as well, and they won't look matte anymore, they'll look dull. Here's one I've started to do, and I just do the underneath first, and then prop them up, let that dry, and then turn them over and do the upper sides after that. Again, this is just to preserve them so they don't all crumble away from the iron pyrite rock. Okay, so this is how the fossil wood has turned out. I think you can see that it's a bit shiny in places, but where it's dried, especially in the places where it's thinner, you know, it did start off looking like it was going to be black and shiny, but it has got some sort of browny colours back into it and is looking more like a piece of wood. So I'm quite pleased with the overall result. And you've got to remember that although it is a bit shiny in places and not particularly ideal, this would have just totally disintegrated into a pile of dust. So, you know, if you have to weigh up the option between having it turn into a pile of dust and actually having it preserved so it will last forever, then I'd rather do this. There are a few sort of little patches here and there where it's still a bit dry, where I might have to go back and just add a little bit more glue onto it, but this should be fine. This is the smaller piece that I did. You can see where I added the glue down into the gaps. Again, like that's, you know, it's not a hole anymore, it's filled with glue, but that will make the whole piece a lot stronger. And yeah, it shows, it looks like fossil wood, just a bit shinier. The nodule things that I did turned out like this. So again, you know, they've got a bit of a shine to them, but actually I think in this case it brings out the detail a lot more. And again, they're going to be preserved now, they'll last forever, so it was worth it. This is the other one, like this. Incidentally, I think I said earlier in the video that the fossil wood was from Bracklesham Bay. It's not, it's from Barton-on-Sea. I got mixed up, but I checked my records and it's from Barton-on-Sea. The reason I got confused is because the fossils from Barton-on-Sea are very similar actually to the fossils at Bracklesham Bay. They're both Eocene beds. So yeah, Eocene means that they're about 50 million years old, which is quite recent for fossils really. They're not as old as some fossils can be. But still, if this is a 50 million year old piece of wood, you know, and it gets exposed at Barton-on-Sea, it's definitely worth preserving it rather than just having it turn to a pile of dust. Here's the last nodule. So you can see, yeah, I think the shininess, it's given it like a sort of an even kind of look to it and an even colouring. And and B, it's going to protect it, so definitely worth it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully this will be helpful to some of you who've got similar fossil finds that need to be preserved. Just a coat of that PVA glue, I think works wonders, really makes all the difference. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to see similar videos. I think I've got a video up on YouTube of fossils and things that I found from Bracklesham Bay, and I'll be putting up other, actually there is another video of my sort of main fossil cabinet, so you can have a look through that. But I've got loads of like drawers with fossils and minerals and things in, so I'll be posting up videos of those in the future. So yeah, hit subscribe, and then anything new that I put up you'll be able to see from now on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.